Hello everyone, this is going to be a guide on how to do Stonecore normal mode from the point of view of a tank. What this guide is mainly about is showing pointers and guides and stuff to how to tank this instance properly, although it shows some elements that may help DPS as well. I decided to make these guides because, especially in Cataclysm, these instances are a lot harder than what we've been expecting in Wrath, and you can't just blindly walk in. And as a tank especially, I like to go into an instance prepared and to see what's going on. This is I think our second run through this, so we're still relatively fresh at this, and we're going with one pug member, and we're not in vent or anything. So, but we did pretty well on this one. So I'll explain this pull when we get to the second one of these. I'm not actually sure if I want to do the full run through of this in the future or just the highlights of the instance, because this is fairly long even when I sped it up at 60% of what it is. We'll see. Alright, so these mobs are fairly simple, just tank and spank. The only thing they really do special is this flay thing. A tank can usually eat it, a melee DPS probably can't, unless they get higher or better gear. And yeah, just step out of it. It's directional, so if you get behind it, you won't get hit by it. It can be stunned and it can be stunned to be interrupted though. So yeah. All right. So this group, you need to watch out for this millhouse guy. Usually, you want to focus him down first or second. In this case, we have him first. And what I do is jump in, shockwave, and go out, and then the CC goes out on these earth casters or whatever, earth shapers. And what these guys do, if you leave them alone, is they channel this spell, Force of Earth or something like that. And if you were paying attention earlier, they turn into this giant earth elemental and they spray this AoE thing. Maybe one of them's alright, but two of them tends to stack up a lot of damage, and you'd rather not be in this position. So what we did is, I go in shockwave, bring out all the casters and melee, and yeah, then the sheep goes out, and we take care of him last. And yeah, pretty simple. So yeah, when you get this guy, you want to interrupt it so he doesn't become the earth elemental or whatever you want to call it, because yeah, like I said, it does a lot of damage. The melee guys on these aren't too big of a deal unless you get a lot of them and with the earth elemental, because they do this thing where they enrage and do 100% more damage, but it's usually not that big of a deal. Millhouse does do a fear, so you want to watch that. Maybe get if you have a priest, fear ward, shaman, tremor totem, whatever. But yeah, once you learn how to deal with the casters, earthbinders, these pulls are relatively easy. So we had a mage do the CC on it, and yeah, it turned out pretty well. So not much here, just DPS them down. And there we go. I should probably cut this out. Alright, so here we go. So just, first off, just as a tank and spank it, DPS it down, make sure your threat's up, and eventually you'll turn around and do this thing, this crystal barrage, kind of like the ability in Vault of Archivon. You can stand in it, doesn't do too much damage, or you can step out of it, either works. After that, he digs into this ground, and you can see these waves of dirt underneath. If you stand on top of it, you'll get thrown around, and you'll get hurt, so just avoid them. These ads are really easy. They're hard to hold aggro on, but they're so wimpy that it can just be AoE down. So yeah, we're doing that right here. Finally, his last ability is this shockwave thing. I don't quite know what the name is, but it basically covers everyone in a debuff that reduces healing done to them, and requires a heal to be taken off, or a dispel, so either or works. That's pretty much it. It's a fairly easy fight, although it should be interesting on heroic mode, especially if the shockwaves and the crystal barrage like one-shot you or something like that, or he gets a new ability. Alright, so these guys. Um, the first ability is Quake, and like I said, it does AoE damage to everyone. It can be avoided if you jump at the same time you cast Quake, or you have a priest that levitates you. So yeah, you jump and you don't take any damage. Second ability is this crystal thing he summons. You can see it right here, right next to my right. And if you don't DPS it down, it explodes after a bit and gives you a debuff, which increases damage done to you by 50%. And if you combine that with the Quake ability, it does a lot of damage. So if possible, you want to DPS them down, or if you just feel confident, just ignore them. So yeah. And our druid leaves. Alright, so these ads are really easy. All you really want to make sure they don't latch onto your healer and kill your healer, but any DPS can handle them. So yeah, here I get 2 of the debuffs, and you can see my health drops pretty far. Alright, so this part is the gauntlet before the boss. It kind of reflects what happens in the boss fight. You'll see these shadows on the ground, and spikes come out of it. Interestingly enough, I actually tried to stand in one of them to see how much damage they do, and I believe it was only like 6k or something stupid like that. But during the boss fight, you'll see that they have another purpose against you, and yeah, should get there in a second. Once our healer comes, and here he is. So, I'm typing. Why don't I cut this out? And here we go. So you'll see in a second what the spike's main purpose is, other than falling on your head. So what this boss has is he has a frontal breath thing, but that's not the main thing he has. It's when these spikes come down, a lot of them come down, and what they do is LOS you from the healer. That combined with that the dragon has this fire breath thing and puts these void zones in the ground that deal a lot of damage. It's really hard to position yourself so the DPS can hit it without getting burned, and the healer can heal you, and no one stands in the fire. As you can see, our healer is being a beast and just standing in the void zones. And yeah. Finally gets out. So yeah, you want to really make sure that you position yourself so the dragon isn't facing the group and you're not line of sight of your healer. So maybe even marking the tank and marking the healer the first time through may help. I don't believe this dragon has a tail swipe because no one took damage when they were in the tail zone, although I may be wrong. And yeah, here our healer just stands in the fire like a champ. And yeah, it's a fairly easy fight as long as you don't get like LOS from your healer and your healer can't get back to you in time. More of these flares, nothing special about them. And die already. And there we go. So these mobs, they only have like 6k health, but when you see them around, you want to make sure to take them out early, because what they do is this, if they're not stunned or anything, they yell, and if any mobs are nearby, they'll rally towards that mob and screw you over. So yeah, once again here, doing the jump in, shockwave, and then back out and have the CC go out. The target we're CCing this time is these Rift Conjurers, and by themselves they don't really do that much damage, but they do the spell where they what is it called? They make this demon portal thing, and if left unattended, this portal will just spawn imps non-stop, and you'll quickly get overwhelmed as they have a decent amount of health, so they can't be one-shotted, and they do a lot of damage to your group. So yeah, we CC these and then take them out last. This is probably the hardest room to do, since a lot of these poles are really close together, and you have to really think about which pole you pull first. Like this pat, for example, if it was maybe 20 seconds earlier, we would have gotten it during our last pull, and by themselves, these guys aren't too big of a deal, but if you're trying to take care of another group, these guys are really annoying. As you can see, it does a jump towards someone, and yeah, Alright, I'm going to skip forward here a lot since this room does get kind of repetitive. Alright, so when I do this room, I start from the middle and kind of go towards the sides. So yeah, jump in, shockwave, and then cheat the target and take everything out. And yeah. And I just got a text message. Alright, so once we finish off this, we're gonna move to the center of the room. I'm gonna cut one more time since no one cares about us DPSing. Alright, here we are in front of the boss. And yeah, there's two abilities you need to watch out for with this guy. His first ability, you'll see this in a second. Not that one, the next one, this one. This ability is a lot like Anubarak's Pound. It'll target everything in front of him, and if you're in front of him, you'll get smashed by it. And most melee played DPS can handle it, but if you have a clothy in front of him and they get hit by it, it'll do a lot of damage. As a tank, you simply just need to go behind him for a second and then just get back into range of him. The other ability he does is Shatter. It's just this AoE thing that knocks everyone back. During the first 80% of his health, it doesn't really deal that much damage. It's just annoying because it throws you back. But when he enrages, which we'll see in a second, it deals a lot of damage, and yeah, I'll die and a melee DPS will die. So yeah, right here, I jump in and avoid that. And I know he's about to cast Shatter, and I just want to zerg him down at this point, so I shield wall and try to live through the Shatter. But since he's in rage, it actually kills me. But luckily, our warrior goes defensive stance and manages to take him down the last couple percent of his health. And we get the kill. Alright. Here I cut to in front of the boss because the next room is just a bunch of ads that can be probably tanked by a melee DPS. So yeah, this part you want to watch out for the fact that by themselves these guys don't really do any damage, but once you get about 1 million of them, which I do here, they start dealing a lot of damage. And I actually shield wall and my health still drops like crazy. And yeah, there we go. If your healer does need mana before this boss fight, pulling these ads does not engage the boss, so you can still mana up. Alright, this boss is actually a fairly hard boss, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. We actually died 3 or 4 times the first time we went through this instance. So yeah, the first ability he does, or she does actually, is this Void Zone. It acts kind of like a black hole in that if you're near it, it will suck you in, and this applies to friendly and enemy mobs. So as you see here, ads are streaming in, and what we do is position ourselves behind these Void Zones, and the ads jump in, and a lot of them die to it. Her phase 2, or whatever you want to call it, is she goes up into the air, and you can't damage her. She throws these meteors at you. If you look on the ground, it becomes kind of dusty, and you'll know where the meteorite hits from there. Her last ability is this Force Grip thing, and what you want to do is have someone focused on interrupting that. Either you or someone else can interrupt it, and yeah, you want to interrupt that because it just tosses you around. It just makes life miserable. And once you got those mechanics down, you can keep the ads off of your healer. It's an easy kill. There we go. Alright, thanks for watching. I should be putting out some more of these videos soon. I hope you enjoyed, and have a nice day.